Welcome to game 2 of the series. Barton made some pretty critical mistakes early in game 1, which eventually stacked up and cost him, losing an early rifle squad, making some interesting tech decisions, major then straight to easy 8, costing him precious fuel, and just generally not able to keep up with Luvnest's close air support. The factions are now switched, but Barton, rather than going Oster, is going to attempt Ober Commando West. Luvnest has not changed his loadout in any way. Still guard motor shock rifle, guard rifle combined arms versus Barton's elite armor, which could be interesting. Breakthrough and Luftwaffe, so we'll see some interesting things this game for sure. Luvnest taking control of the strategic point right there with his combat engineers. Conscripts going south. That's 2 squads of conscripts fielded to a early Kubelwagen. And Sturm Pioneers making their way straight down here to wire off this approach. Kubelwagen will make its way towards the cutoff and try and force a retreat from these combat engineers. They will jump into green cover to defend. Conscripts finish taking that point and will move to take control of the fuel while combat engineers stall. Kubelwagen will be pushed away briefly for now. Combat engineers continue moving south, and conscripts will move to protect the cutoff in their place. Second squad of conscripts moving in this area as well. Sturm Pioneers, however, are not moving to do anything there. Kubelwagen will simply move to protect the munitions. Getting a little close to those conscripts though. Wow, way too close. And that Kubelwagen absolutely has to pull back to safety. I think Luvnest could have killed that if he had ghosted sandbags right there. He actually, maybe not actually. Because I think the ghost for conscript sandbags doesn't appear until they actually start building it, as opposed to rear echelon tank traps where they can just pop it up out of thin air. Kubelwagen does have to pull back away to safety from those conscripts, and Sturm Pioneers chase away the conscripts right there. So Kubelwagen is in some pretty dangerous early engagements, but it does survive quite narrowly. I know, Cruz. I'm the only person that would utilize such abuse.
Orders complete. Get fire on that infantry!
Conscripts jump inside of this building. Kubelwagen moves up to engage against conscripts right here. And they're probably going to fall quite low. Hit vet 1. They can't stick around here forever. They are bleeding those Sturm Pioneers, sort of. Lost 1 man. There goes another. Sturm Pioneers falling pretty low. Luvnest has another squad taking control of the center right here. 1 taking control of the strategic point. He will eventually be forced out right there. Volksgrenadiers replace them in the building. Conscripts are retreating. Sturm Pioneers at very low health. We'll move to repair this Kubelwagen slightly. Kubelwagen will prevent any infantry from advancing along this path.
Capture complete. Orders complete. Enemy activity. Enemy rounds. Keep your heads down. Secure the vehicle. Location set. Begin conversion.
Wire being constructed right here. Block this area of approach. Thank you, Basketball T-Dog, for your $3 donation. Wow, the text is so not lined up at all. I need to find a way to make that look not terrible. Thank you very much. That is much appreciated. Conscripts engaging on the flank of these Volksgrenadiers, bringing them quite low. Luvnest putting a lot of early pressure on Barton here, who has gone tier 2 rather than tier 3, so he's not going to be able to make any aggressive pushes out of his base with a flak half-track either. This Kubelwagen is his only mobile source of anti-infantry, which is a good weapon to have, but it can be really hard to take on a 4 conscript opening with a Kubelwagen, especially when there's buildings involved. Flak half-track can be a really nice tool. So I'm expecting Barton to probably go Fusilier spam next, although he is fielding a 4th Volksgrenadier squad, so maybe not. I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly what Barton's strategy is going to be this game, but I think just spamming Volksgrenadiers will make it very difficult to hold his fuel against a 4 conscript and flamethrower opening.
Receiving effective fire. Grenadier, ready for action.
There goes that combat engineer squad. Folks Grenadiers get back control of the cutoff. Meanwhile, over here, the tier 2 gets spotted by a flamethrower combat engineer. Folks Grenadiers are falling dangerously low in this engagement and will be forced to retreat rather than try and out-reinforce that squad. And they get away only very narrowly before retreating themselves. Pretty good engagement for Luvnest, actually, though. Killing 4 Folks Grenadiers in exchange for 1 combat engineer. Kuba Wagon continues to do not that much damage to squads in this house. Stern Pioneers will be forced away from the engagement. Folks Grenadiers are probably going to be forced away, and it looks like the engagement for this area will be lost. Unless Luvnest makes a retreat right there. But support is on the way. A lot of support is on the way. Meaning Barton actually has a bit of an opening to take back some territory in the center and south, while Luvnest is dedicating everything to the fight for the north. Kuba Wagon is going to have to reposition to safety away from the squads in this building. Luvnest has not got any T grenades, though. He's just got healing. So the Kuba Wagon is actually pretty safe for now.
Enemy forces capturing supply sector. The enemy has cut off a sector. The sector is at risk.
Cut-off attempt by Barton will slow down Luvnest's economy slightly here. Tier 3 is going up, having held a lot of strategic points for most of this game. It is arriving very fast. 6 minutes, the Tier 3 is already under construction. If he goes half track, his first light vehicle will be arriving very soon. But Barton's cut-off maneuver here actually will slow down anything like a T-70 or T-34. So that is something, at least. Stern Pioneers force a retreat here in the north on those conscripts.
Encroaching on our territory.
Folks Grenadiers jumping into green cover to engage these conscripts, and a lot of Folks Grenadiers in the south just trying to harass territory and pull Luvnest's forces south to weaken his hold on the north fuel and munitions. Stern Pioneers move up into close range on these conscripts. Note there are 4 southwest facing windows on this building, so Stern Pioneers might have slightly better look if they stood like up here somewhere. If they could position themselves just right so that only 2 of these windows were shooting at them, they would probably not get bled quite as badly, but either way, they're probably going to take damage. Actually, this looks like a pretty good spot for them to stand. They might only get engaged from 1 window from here. I think the angle is too sharp for those 2 windows to hit them. Of course, against a flamethrower, all it takes is 1 window to potentially do a lot of damage. But Luvnest doesn't want to stick around too long and risk his flamethrower bursting, or the squad potentially getting wiped. Nice wipe for Barton. That will help significantly taking out that flamethrower. Here in the south, Folks Grenadiers might even win against, well, no, probably not. Unless he throws like a grenade or something. But he's a little strapped for munitions as it is. Probably doesn't want to gamble on that grenade. Luvnest will probably dodge. I don't know, maybe the Folks Grenadiers will win. Flamethrower moving up to turn the engagement will force those Folks Grenadiers to retreat eventually. Barton's not going to risk it any further and gets out of there. Here in the north, first Panzerschreck upgrade on that squad will take control of the munitions, and Barton has thrown a MG-34 into this house, so he has gone Luftwaffe ground forces. Try and hold a defensive line here in the north and sort of south simultaneously. I wonder if Barton saw that mine going down. I don't think so. Kuba Wagon at Vet 1 or 2 does now have access to detection. Barton might pop that occasionally to try and get a little more knowledge of his opponent's movements. By the way, the detection tells you not only where your opponent is, but also what the unit is. Not necessarily on the mini-map, but if you open the tactical map while you have detection active on a Kuba Wagon, you can actually see what the units are through the fog of war. So he could know, for example, where his opponent's shock troops were as opposed to his conscripts or flamethrower if he utilizes the tactical map. So interesting thing I noticed about detection on the Kuba Wagon. It's a good tip to try and utilize. And it's quite a large radius. Grenade toss on those Sturms. Nice dodge by Barton. Shock troops closing into very short range. Are winning this. Retreat those. That was a late retreat on those Sturms. Wow, they just barely survived that. So lucky that those shock troops had to reload and ran out of bullets. Conscripts here in the center are pinned by MG34 and Kuba Wagon fire. Here comes the T-70 for Luvnest. He does not go half-track. T-70 diving straight down the middle. There are no mines, no anti-tank anywhere except for a Panzerschreck in this building, and that Kuba Wagon is screwed. I think. Making a miracle escape up here towards the north, towards the safe haven of the Raketenwerfer and Panzerschreck. Raketenwerfer shot connects. What is that T-70 doing? Run, little T-70. It will get away, fortunately. Kuba Wagon also makes a miracle survival escape maneuver right there. No forward retreat point unlocked for Barton, so every time he does retreat, it's all the way back to base. A couple squads healing and reinforcing here, and I think another Panzerschreck just got purchased. Yes, on this squad here. So he will have 2 Panzerschrecks now to give him a decent amount of firepower against that T-70. Raketenwerfer on its way to counter the T-70 circling up here. Good game sense by Barton. He knew that T-70 was coming. Oh, yeah! Oh, nice! Wow! Look at that bait. Perfect bait by Barton. Well executed trap right there for that T-70, which didn't even repair. That's Luvnest's own fault for not repairing that T-70. Incendiary artillery on some stuff up here will force retreat from these 2 team weapons. Volksgrenadiers and Sturmpiles in the area. 1 AT grenade on the Kuba Wagon, but Luvnest ran out of munitions for a second one on that squad because of the incendiary artillery, and the Kuba Wagon is going to make a miracle survival again. Conscripts moving back up towards the north victory point. Will force a retreat from that Panzerschreck squad. Everything here in the south will fall back into Luvnest control thanks to mines. No minesweeper from Barton yet. He's probably gonna need to get one of those if he's gonna make any successful harassment in the south. Otherwise, he's just gonna have to keep focusing on the north and center if he doesn't want to run out of victory points. And he's done good victory point management so far. Fox still not really moving against him. Flamethrower looks like it's going to fail in its attempt to unseat the machine gun from that house, although it does do pretty good damage. These 2 squads are forced to retreat by shock troops moving up in this area. Conscripts are going to get the munitions under control while these conscripts build green cover position on the fuel and force Barton back to his medic truck. Gonna have to think carefully about how to proceed from here. He's currently operating on 2 Raketenwerfers, 2 MG34s, 4 Volksgrenadiers, and Sturmpile squad. If he can get enough manpower together for a Fallschirmjäger squad, he'll have an elite infantry squad that he can use for a more effective harassment unit with access to smoke eventually, of course. Could be a useful thing to have, but on a core composition this stacked, it could be difficult to get that manpower together unless he can engage very cost effectively. Although still having his Kuba Wagon alive, credit to Barton for that much, and he has detection active to get himself knowledge of all of his opponent's movements here in the center and south. He might be able to do some safe harassment down here, and there's no demos, just a couple mines, I think. This one right here. And he knows he's wiped one of Luvnest's combat engineer squads, so the mine and demo potential here in the south is a lot lower, especially if he can maintain knowledge of where the remaining combat engineer squad is. MG34 moving up to protect in this general area. We'll probably need to help against those shock troops. Here comes a grenade. Late dodge. Nope. Pretty good dodge. Good dodge by Barton. Takes still a bit of damage just because he was flushed out of cover, though. Kuba Wagon is fully repaired and moves to engage here in the center, and a mortar is on the field for Luvnest. We know he loves that late game mortar. 14-minute mortar for Luvnest. Like clockwork. At least in games that he's finding challenging, which clearly in this case he is. He always gets that mortar when he finds his opponent's defense a little tough to crack, and he wants to amp up the pressure a little bit, put some damage down on these buildings, maybe put some damage down on that tier 2 structure, the reinforced point. We'll find, I'm sure, great ways to make use of that unit. Barton currently focusing all of his efforts on trying to get back control of this north fuel point. MG34 does not manage to suppress the flamethrower before they make it to green cover, but it's going to retreat anyway when it sees this force coming. Sturm Pioneers and Volksgrenadiers utilizing Luvnest's own sandbags right here should probably be able to force away those conscripts. Meanwhile, harassment attempt for the south, he will just decap that point and move decap further points, apparently. Worried more about shutting down Luvnest's economy than bolstering his own. He's up to 161 fuel with only one tech structure built, and I'm thinking Jagdpanzer next to protect himself against the IS-2 or KV-8, whatever Luvnest decides to field. Having a huge fuel advantage, Luvnest will have no problem fielding plenty of heavy tanks this game to try and seal the deal, and Barton may want to get access to a Panzerfaust or plant mines or something. A Jagdpanzer will be able to keep an IS-2 at bay, but it won't be able to actually hunt and kill an IS-2 without it taking catastrophic engine damage. Smoke grenade there in the middle. Should be able to force a retreat from a Rakettenwerfer right there, although a Kubelwagen is available for flank protection. Here in the north, MG-34 will eventually force a retreat from that conscript squad. Hopefully Luvnest won't forget about them. Here in the south, conscripts are set up in green cover to keep the victory point ticking against Barton. He'll be forced to disengage from that. He can't charge that over open ground. Another smoke grenade from those shock troops for protection against the Kubelwagen, but the MG-34 is placed nicely for this push over the red cover, and they will get suppressed. Nicely done by Barton on the MG suppression wall. And those shock troops will be forced off the field, which is always good to force the retreat from your opponent's elite infantry squad. It significantly weakens their pushing power. Volksgrenadiers will be forced to retreat from the south against two squads of conscripts, plus combat engineers down here. So hopefully we'll see a minesweeper down there from Barton at some point this game. Fallschirmjäger deployed out of this house to put pressure on Luvnest mortar, and a full retreat by Luvnest in the north, thanks to that Fallschirmjäger squad. Nicely executed by Barton right there, but that is going to be very manpower expensive to maintain a core of Fallschirmjäger, 4 Volksgrenadiers, 4 team weapons, and a Sturms. This Kubelwagen is still alive though. Pretty well microed Kubelwagen in this game. Well microed and lucky. Lucky that Luvnest never quite managed his munitions properly to take it out. Lucky that that T-70 couldn't quite seal the deal on it. Had the perfect combination of both luck and skill to keep that thing alive. Fallschirmjäger engaging conscripts in red cover. Cut them down so quick. Already the whole squad is at half health. Only one model dropped, they're just gonna retreat and they can't do anything now. Very important to utilize your Fallschirmjäger as cost effectively as possible, and they're off to a good start, already halfway to Vet 1, and once they hit Vet 1 and get access to the frangible grenade, they become very, very useful. IS-2 very soon. I'm kind of surprised Luvnest didn't go KV-8. He really likes to apply that early pressure. But IS-2 will serve him very well when it hits the field. Right now, here it comes. Luvnest is going to have to, or Barton's going to have to try and find a way to counter this thing. He's got 2 Rakettenwerfers and 3 Panzerschrecks and access to Panzerfaust. He might want to consider laying some defensive mines at some point. He's got a little bit of a spare munitions, although he may want to spend that on a 4th Shrek. We'll see what he does. Kubelwagen's up to Vet 3, pushing away conscripts here in the center and trying to maintain victory point control for Barton, or at least slow the drain. Here in the north, MG-34 is set up on victory point. That's going to be the IS-2's first victim. It might get away. It's totally random, honestly, whether it gets away or not. Shock troops have been fully healed and reinforced and are making their way back to the front line to engage against stuff. Shock troops moving up on the flank. Kubelwagen will try to protect. If they get inside that building, they're asking for it. That grenade, or that mortar and grenade, jeez. Was that a precision strike or just glorious RNG? That was just glorious RNG. The smoke grenade will allow those shock troops to recover the MG-34. It doesn't look like there's anything Barton can do about that. Nicely played by Luvnest right there to steal that after that miracle mortar. IS-2 moves up to push away the Kubelwagen here in the middle. And Barton has gone Jagdpanzer to protect himself against that IS-2, but he's been triple capped. Now that there's an IS-2 on the field, losing a lot of map control as a result. Conscripts taking control of the center VP. This flamethrower taking control of the victory point in the north and throwing down some defensive mines, protect against counterattack. IS-2 is currently center. Rakettenwerfers are moving center to help counter. And Volksgrenadiers are going to move to try and get control of some territory back to the north. Volksgrenadiers moving to try and recover victory points. Fallschirmjäger got a lucky bit of RNG right there and just burst the flamethrower. Wow, I don't think I've ever seen a flamethrower burst and the whole squad get away without taking any casualties. But a bit of good luck for Barton right there, regardless, getting that flamethrower destroyed. IS-2 moves to counter here in the north and gets a one-hit kill on that Volksgrenadier squad. Jeez. So much for Barton being lucky. Conscripts will force a retreat from that squad. And there they go. Jagdpanzer needs to move to assist in this engagement. There are 2 Rakettenwerfers set up here. Shots bounce though. One more volley also bounces. Jagdpanzer cannot expose its rear armor to those conscripts if it doesn't want to get engine damage. Kubelwagen moves up to put a little pressure on the mortar while there's an opening. Almost clears it, in fact. Not bad. Here in the south, Sturmpios have gotten control of the victory point to try and slow the victory point drain, try and extend the game as long as possible. Still no minesweeper for Barton though, which cost him a couple of squad members here, I think, on a mine.
Achtung, ready. Volksgrenadiers back to full strength.
IS-2 barely taking a scratch thanks to its incredible frontal armor. Game.
Stand by, crew. Infantry alert. Taking fire! Taking fire! Combat promotion! Enemy movement! On the flank! Combat promotion received!
Volksgrenadier blob heading north to engage against various units. Oh no, Sturmpios are gonna die. I knew that was gonna happen. They were up against a shot blocker, even if it overshot, which it tends to. Sturmpios wiped, and these are wipes Barton can't afford. That's 2 wipes to the IS-2 already, and he can't repair this. He can't even repair his Jagdpanzer now because the Sturmpios just died. That's how important it is to keep that squad alive. Mine does huge damage. Barton is triple capped again and doesn't show any sign of being able to stop that triple cap. His Fallschirmjäger squad is not even bet 1 yet. There it goes, finally. Giving him access to the frangible grenade. I wish I could show unit ranges. Ability range in observer mode. Yet another feature of observer mode that's missing. Well, they can throw it to about here, roughly. They cannot throw it all the way to that green cover position. Flamethrower moving up to push those Fallschirmjäger from their cover position.
Command has been set. The static post is now in operation.
But is not successful. Fallschirmjäger will force the flamethrower to retreat right there. IS-2 moving up to start applying more pressure. No fresh Sturm Pioneers on the field for Barton yet, who has not been able to afford it. Volksgrenadiers taking heavy damage here. Will pop that flamethrower though, before being forced to retreat. Rakettenwerfer moving up to try and assist. Fallschirmjäger in their green cover position, who actually will force a retreat from those conscripts. IS-2 shot destroys the building. Shock troops will probably force a retreat from both of these Rakettenwerfers. Field gun trying to move up to engage against the... Oh, he can repair it. He just built a tier 3 right here. Interesting. Tier 2 and tier 3. I feel like he might have gone tier 3 just for repairs because it's less manpower expensive than Sturm Pioneers. But a tier 3 structure can't sweep mines for him, and that's another feature of Sturm Pioneers that his army is sorely lacking. Panzer Shrek snipe on that shock troop squad will force a retreat right there. IS-2 moving up. Kettenwerfer forces that IS-2 to retreat right there. MG-34 firing on a bunch of stuff.
Prepare for action. Infantry, counterattack. Protect the flank. Gruppe under attack. Engaging. We lost a gun crew.
Kettenwerfer just got, or no, MG-34 just got wiped. Volksgrenadiers just got wiped. Barton is now down to almost no units remaining. Brought the IS-2 a little bit low. He would have to pull off some sort of miracle play against that thing to recover this game, which apparently he's going to attempt right now. But driving down that center road is a pretty good way for his Jagdpanzer to just hit a mine and die. Kettenwerfer turns to fire on that IS-2. I think it needs 3 shots to penetrate, which is not going to happen. That shot missed. And Luvnest will continue to hold the entire map. He does not have a triple cap going against Barton, but only 88 victory points currently remain for him. Fresh squad of Fallschirmjäger fielded out of this building to try to apply pressure to units in this area. We'll go for the field gun, but shock troops arrive immediately to counter, and the IS-2 one-shots the squad. Jagdpanzer moving to try and hit the IS-2 on its rear armor will hit a mine and its engine will be destroyed. That is the death of that Jagdpanzer for sure to the field gun, which is actually not moving to engage right now, but it just doesn't matter. There's no way for Barton to save that with this destroyed engine and no stern piles on the field. There's no way for Barton to stop Luvnest's shock troop squad, which means this game is over and Luvnest will take the series 2-0. Well played by Luvnest.
Ready for deployment. Infantry alert.
There goes the Jagdpanzer. IS-2 flanking. Honorable mention to the Kuba-wagon though, almost Vet 5. If it had stuck around a little longer, maybe Vet 5. We have not seen very many Vet 4 plus Kuba-wagons in Starcross Kings. The only Vet 5 Kuba-wagon I think we've ever seen is OMG Pop. Apparently Barton was not able to live up to that legacy. GG, Luvnest takes it.